Singularity by William Sleator, 10. I stayed in the kitchen as the afternoon went by outside the window. I didn't want to look at the diary. It was too hard to read and too close to home. Instead, I got out the calculator and turned to the physics books. A couple of them had been published quite recently and seemed very up to the minute. The formulas were wonderfully distracting, like difficult puzzles, and just what I needed to keep myself from brooding about Fred. "What's he doing?" Lucy asked Barry. "Just working the crazy formulas in those dumb books," Barry said. I was better at math and science than he was, but he always tried to play it down so he wouldn't look like the stupid one. The two of them roamed restlessly around the house, looking for more clues about the playhouse. Every once in a while, Lucy would glare at me, or would glance at me, with a kind of puzzled awe. She seemed surprised that I wasn't a complete dolt. I pretended not to notice. Though Barry had been skeptical about it progressing and it getting out, he did not make a move toward the playhouse, and neither did Lucy. Maybe it was just a reluctance to confront Fred's bones again. We knew that if we left them there long enough, they would crumble away to dust and be hidden under more insect bodies, and then no one would have to dispose of them. Even I didn't feel like burying them and making a little grave. Fred was gone, nothing would change that, and I didn't want to go back to the playhouse. Before Lucy went home to supper, Barry urged her not to say anything to her parents or anyone else. If other people come poking around, it would spoil all the fun. Then we'd never get the chance to figure out what's happening there ourselves. "Do we really want to?" she wondered. "Sure we do. We don't want cops to come and rope it off and keep us from going inside." "You think they do that? Then that means it really is dangerous." No, he said hastily. "That's just the kind of thing they always do to keep kids out." She turned back to me from the door. "Hey, I just remembered. This afternoon when you knocked us over, what was that all about?" I looked up from the calculator. I hadn't noticed how late it was getting. "What did it look like to you?" "We just came out the door, and then there was a kind of, like an explosion." Barry looked at Lucy. She nodded. "And we fell down, and then you were there out of nowhere." I told them what it had been like for me, the frozen world gradually coming back to life. "It was the weirdest thing that ever happened to me," I finished. I glanced back at the book for a long moment, doing my best to look scholarly, but now I think I'm beginning to understand what was happening. "What?" they both said. I paused again, enjoying being the center of attention for a change. "Well, when I was inside the playhouse, I was in a time contraction field, right? I was moving faster in time. Every second in the outside world was like an hour to me in there." "Like what happened to me," Barry said. Lucy frowned. "You still don't believe it," Barry cried. "Just go on," Lucy told me. Then I ran out. My body was still moving faster in time than everything else. It must take a few seconds for a body to slow down to real time, the way it took a few seconds for the clock to speed up. "Makes sense," Barry said. "So if you go through the doorway slowly, like we usually do, you don't notice the change. But I went so fast you couldn't see me. And when I did slow down, I was already sitting there. So to you, it looked like I appeared out of nowhere, and to me it looked like you were statues." "I still can't believe it," Lucy said and made her disgusted expression. "But," she sighed, "but I also can't believe you two would go to so much trouble to play a trick on me." "So you just don't know what to believe, do you?" Barry pressed her. She nodded unhappily. "Well, then you shouldn't say anything about it to anyone. They'll just think you're crazy, like they thought Uncle Ambrose was crazy. I guess." "Good girl," Barry said. He slung his arm over her shoulder and walked her out of the room to the back door. I went back to the physics book, but soon I was sorry I had ever opened it. The tremor woke me in the middle of the night. A silent shock wave, a noise that wasn't a noise, shattered my dream about Fred. I jolted upright in the darkness. For a fraction of a second, the earth rocked sickeningly beneath me. It was over so quickly, it might never have happened, just a final impulse of my dream. Then Barry was standing in the doorway. "You feel that?" "Yeah, it was just a dream." That was what I wanted to believe, and, in fact, Barry and I had gone through a period of sharing dreams, but it had been a long time since Barry would admit it. And he wouldn't now. "That wasn't any dream. I felt something after I woke up, like a little earthquake, and I sort of heard something, too. I bet it came from the playhouse." "Probably," I said, wide-eyed enough now to be terrified. "Come on," Barry said, dashing from his room. In a second or two, he was back, with his running shorts on. Come on, get moving. He hopped on one leg at a time. He hopped on one leg at a time to pull on his shoes. But I can't, I wailed, huddled in bed. I can't go to that place now. Don't make me, please. You want me to go alone? He approached the bed. No, Barry, I don't want you to go. Nobody should go. It's not safe. He tore the sheet away and flung my jeans at me from the floor. Hurry up, he ordered. Things happen fast there. No, you don't know, I whimpered. You don't know what it said in those books. It's worse than you ever thought. But at the same time, I was slipping on my pants and then reaching for my shoes. I was so scared, my skin, covered with goosebumps in this 80-degree night, was twitching as though I had just stepped out of an icy pool. Yet I was going with him. Come on, hurry up! But I can't find my shirt. You don't need one. It's hot out. But just come on. We hurried out of the room and down the stairs. Why was I doing this? He had certainly been mean enough to me so that he deserved to go alone. But I didn't want him to go alone. I didn't want to lose him. We grabbed the flashlight and we were out the back door. What did you mean about those books? It's true about the singularity. It's theoretical, but it's based on real data, like singularities absorbing light and things that happen to subatomic particles. They've done experiments where protons actually seem to go backwards in time, and there's these things called tachyons that they think might actually... But what about the playhouse? He said, moving smoothly ahead of him. Time slows down on the outside of a singularity in the event horizon, so it would speed up on the inside after something got sucked through it, and a singularity can be a hole in another universe. And at first, I thought the idea of the playhouse being on the inside of a singularity, this side, was crazy. Except singularities only exist in outer space, except what? Except I was wrong. The other side of a singularity is different. It could be anywhere, even on the surface of a planet, even in the middle of a meadow. But the worst part is, I could hardly get the words out. Barry was at the sundial. He stopped to wait for me. He touched me. Go on, Harry, he coaxed. The worst part? The worst part is, that's the only possible The worst part is, that's the only possible cause there is for time speeding up. It's crazy, but it's the only scientific explanation. This playhouse, the rock it's built on, has to be a singularity. One side is in another universe. This side is in this universe. It leads from over there to right here. We stood outside the circle of trees, the flashlight pointed at the ground. The lush Illinois sounds were all around us. The wind breathing in the leaves, the rush of water, the scraping of insects. They seemed so familiar now compared to the soundless shock that had wakened us. So, we can't really go in there, can we? I said. Why not? Barry said, and started moving the flashlight toward the invisible playhouse door. There was a noise behind us, and we spun around. Lucy stood in the flashlight beam. You! Barry cried. Then you felt it too? Oh, those little quakes happen all the time. I just couldn't sleep. And when I saw the flashlight moving around over here, I wanted to see what was going on. The playhouse. It's a link to another universe. That's what it has to be from those books, Barry told her, as if he had read them. And that quake might have been something coming through. I had never said exactly that, but he had made a logical connection. I don't know what you mean by another universe, Lucy said irritably. Why can't you just talk normal? Just come on. Barry turned and aimed the light at the playhouse. There didn't seem to be any change. He jerked his head at us, then walked forward, reaching into his pocket for the keys. I squeezed his arm. You're not going to open it. I'm not? But you'll let it out. Let what out? Lucy wanted to know. The thing that came through. I don't believe it, she said. Then what are you doing here? I didn't want to miss anything. Barry turned the first key in the lock and pulled it out. He inserted the second key. Barry, don't, I begged. How else can we find out what happened? He clicked the lock and pushed open the door. Cobwebs lashed out from the doorway, and a rain of insect bodies pelted against our legs. Cold wind rushed past us like a blast of air from an open winter window, only it didn't smell like air. It smelled like chemicals, and like a dissecting room, and like things I had never smelled before. I might have thrown up, but it was over in a second. The door slammed and the cobwebs fluttered back against it. Well, was that something getting out? Lucy said, unclasping her arms from Barry's waist. I let go of his shoulders. My heart was pumping like crazy. It could have been, except I didn't feel anything solid. It was just a blast of gas, Barry said, unlocking the door again. From all the things that have died in there. Methane, I told him. I know that. That's what it was, I bet. Don't know why it didn't happen before, though. He pushed the door open, brushed the cobwebs aside, and stepped in. He propped the door open with the chair. Lucy followed him. Well, Harry, Barry said. I didn't want to be left outside by myself. I stepped over the threshold. Barry turned on the light. The bones, as I had hoped, were gone. Everything's the same, Barry said. It's getting dirty again, but that happens all the time. Look at the floor, I said. There was something lying in front of the sink. Something that had not been there before. Don't touch it, I shouted as Barry reached for it. He drew back his hand. Lucy, her fingers in her mouth, was positioned, as I was, to flee through the open door. Why not? Barry said, squatting by the object on the floor. It might be radioactive or have acid on it or poison or something. It might burn you. Barry grabbed one of the survival biscuit wrappers and dropped it over the thing. Nothing happened. He picked up the paper and examined it. It was unchanged. He prodded the object with his shoe. It doesn't feel hot or anything. We should lock it and call the police, I said. Sure, and they'll never let us get near this place again. Barry reached slowly toward the thing and then brushed it for an instant with one finger. He let the finger rest on it for a few seconds longer. Then gingerly he grasped it by the hand and stood up. I waited, my eyes shielded, ready to duck in case there was an explosion. Nothing happened, and finally, I couldn't go on ignoring Barry's muted exclamations of amazement. I moved toward him to get a better look. Lucy followed. It fit easily in Barry's hand and looked like a cross between a light bulb and a wad of gum. It was whitish and faintly translucent and glassy, like a bulb, only it was pimpled with bulges and ridges and deep convolutions. It was startlingly foreign, yet it also made me think of something I knew, something like, a brain, I said. It looks like a little brain made of glass. I know it does, Barry snapped. But where'd it come from, Lucy said. From the universe on the other side, I said. She snorted and looked up at the ceiling. The trapdoor was open. That's it, she said. The trapdoor opened when the earthquake hit, and it fell through. But then Barry shouted and dropped it. We all sprang back. Did it burn you? No. He squatted down beside the object again. I didn't feel anything, but something happened to it. He picked it up and stood up again. Look at that. Something was going on inside it. Pinpoints of light flowed along the ridges and convolutions, moving slowly, then speeding up, then moving slowly, again blinking on and off, then somehow diving into the center. Ever see anything like that in a joke store? Barry asked Lucy. She ignored his jibe. It's not alive, is it? It's not warm, Barry said. It's not breathing. It's not trying to fight or to protect itself. It's just blinking. I had been watching the little pinpoints of light. I think maybe it's trying to tell us something. And that is the end of chapter 10.